All right, 7 o'clock. We got the numbers.
We got the numbers.
All right.
Steve?
First things first, bylaws. Everybody got a copy of them, the changes and the new ones. One of the biggest change I want to bring up is we added the option next year or going forward where you don't have to be present to vote. You could do it through proxy, like email, something like that. It was one of the biggest changes, which of course would have affected it. If it was affect already, we wouldn't have to be pushing to try to get people to attend. But that was one of the biggest things. Does anybody have any questions, concerns about it, or are we ready for a vote?
I'll say just a couple of things.
Go ahead, Pat.
Steve and Dick in particular did a really good job of going through the bylaws thoroughly, correcting some grammar, but correcting some things that were ambiguous or redundant. So the bylaws are really good now for the club. So thanks to Steve and Dick in particular.
Well, and I want to say that Bryan AF0W really did a good job of kind of going through our scribbles and getting it all straight so that it would read right. And he put in a lot of effort as well there. And Pat was always there. And let's see, I don't want to leave anybody out, whoever else I was working with.
Yeah, well,
thank you. It was a lot of work. And I believe there's still a couple of things we can do to make it even better, but that'll be next year. Maybe.
and I apologize to Bryan for forgetting him. He put together the document with all the changes noted. Thanks, Bryan, a lot. Thanks to the crew. So ready for a vote, right?
All right, I'd say we're ready for a vote. If you vote for the new bylaws, you can either raise your hand or put, if you don't have a video, you can put yay and to everybody for chat. And I think we got enough votes even on the one screen that I got here. Zoom also has a hand that you can put up as well. If you want to use the raise hand, you can do that as well. So Steve, Pat, do we look good as far as members voting? That
Yeah, well, as for the nays, because we got lots of yays.
Okay. How about does anybody not want the new bylaws or see something that they don't want to approve them?
I think it's unanimous.
It's unanimous then. I think we're good. All right, so the bylaws will go into effect. Next, your executive board. Is there anybody out there that would like to throw their name in the hat for running for a position of executive board? Speak up now or lose out. All right, nobody's stepping into the ring or volunteering. Since that's the case, I'll make this easy and we'll just vote on the current executive board that you have in place. That would be myself as the current board president. We've got Mike. Mike's on here somewhere. Want to speak up, Mike?
I'm here.
There he is. W0KKI as your vice chair. Pat, W1PGE as the secretary. And Don as your treasurer, KE0EE. So, since nobody else is throwing a hat, that's going to be your new executive board. So we'll vote on it. If you agree with this new board and you'd like to see them in place, please raise your hand again. Pat and Steve, let me know when you're good. I'll vote for myself.
Yeah, I think.
And does anybody oppose the that don't want anybody as your board? Any nays or opposing? All right, I think we're good.
I think we're stuck.
Huh?
I think we're stuck, right?
We're stuck for another year. Just so everybody knows, Pat has graciously volunteered to stay our secretary as long as we keep voting him in and we keep having some type of capability for him to be able to attend and not drive down on a Wednesday night, even though he would probably do it. He'd just probably rather not. But
especially in a Wyoming winter.
Yeah, that or a snowstorm. Couple of quick announcements. There is an ARL testing event this Saturday at 350 Terry Street. Please check out our website, our new website for details. Again, thank you everybody for joining and voting. I do appreciate it. We got this out of the way. The other thing is, what's the other announcement I was going to have? Remember, on Tuesday nights, we have the Hamlet Net at 7 p.m. on the repeaters, and Thursday nights, the general ham chewing general discussion net as well. Again, I did bring up, we're going to do Santa on the air again. And we're not doing a Christmas party this year, but your board is discussing other options. One of the things I did bring up is potentially have maybe a little small get together like we did last year on Zoom, and then a discussion on the website to maybe go over some details and help answer questions and things like that. The other new thing is, of course, the club does have a new website. Please check it out. If you have any problems, everybody's got my email address. I've already had multiple people send me emails. Please send me emails. We're looking for feedback. Again, this is not my website. It's not Jerry's. It's not the board's. It is the club's website. And we do have a couple people that volunteered that love to write. That's going to try to keep it fresh and have new articles every so often, at least once every 2 weeks or every week. So keep an eye out for that. Hopefully we'll see more pictures out there, things like that. So thank you everybody who helped participate in getting this up and going. Larry, Mike, myself, Kat, Brian, Ramon, I mean, everybody has pitched in and help out. And each of your executive board members have a little slot that they can do stuff as well. So look for updates and things like that. Does any board members have any announcements, questions, concerns?
Well, a few
Go ahead,
people joined us a little late and
Okay.
later. Just to remind everybody, the Rocky Mountain Division of AERL HAM convention is next October 7th, 8th, and 9th in Cheyenne, Wyoming. You all come.
All right, thank you, Pat. Steve, you had a
Yeah,
go ahead, sir.
I am working on getting the prices reduced so we can get more members involved with the apparel. I've had several chats with a couple board members. I'm working right now with Heidi Davis, Atomic Prints. And what I'm trying to do, guys, is get the prices down. Because of COVID and because of product availability, I'm fighting a little bit of a battle with price increases, but I'm hoping Heidi will work with us to get it down so we can make them more affordable for the club members. Because I know that club members are going to need long sleeves, jackets, that kind of stuff. And I know those are pricey right now. And I'm working on to get those prices down.
All right, thank you, Steve. We appreciate that. Any other board members or committee chairs have any questions? Dick, get your hand raised.
Thank you. I don't really have any word on Ham Fest. We're still going to be under the control of the county. They have no idea whether we're going to be able to have it or not, and it depends on the variants and if they'll allow enough people to gather to have it. I'm thinking it may be January or February before they have a really good idea. They're hoping that we'll be able to, and that's the best word that they'll give me, is that they hope we'll be able to. And for Steve, yes, the shirt is a little pricey. However, it's a top quality shirt. It's the best shirt that I own, and it'll last and last and last. So you'll only have to buy one unless you lose a lot of weight or gain a lot of weight. And it's a good investment.
Thank you, Dick.
I wear mine a lot to the thing, and I think Steve's put in a heck of an effort to get a quality shirt and a quality cap, and I'm sure the other things are as high a quality. And if you want the best, buy Kenwood. I mean, anyway, I think he's done a heck of a job with that, and I know we're raising some money, and that's what it's all about. And one other thing that he has done, and I know he's appreciative if you shop at King Soopers and give them your card and tell them you would like to make a donation through your sales to Longmont Amateur Radio Club. Looks to me like there's only 4 of us, and we're still generating some money. If 50 of us would, we'd really generate some revenue for the club, and it's not out of your pocket. It's out of King Soopers' pocket. So sign up and join us that have already done that.
Thanks, Dick.
Thanks, Dick. Appreciate that. All right. Any other board members or committee chairs? Jerry? You got the floor, Jerry.
He's talking, his lips are moving. But
We're
no
not hearing
audio.
you. No audio.
He's done. There
There
you
you
go.
go. Nope, you're still no audio, Jerry. You're off of mute, but I don't know why you have no audio. Really quick, Jerry, while you figure that out, hey, Doug, do you need any more help for the events coming up this month and next month? And of course, Doug just went on mute.
Yeah, I was trying to unmute. It was unmuted. Yeah, on the 30th of October, the city of Longmont will have their annual Halloween parade. And I've got to get an email out. It's within 2 weeks away, so 2 Saturdays from now. And the parade starts at 10, we gather at 9, and it's over by about 11:30. So it's a fun thing. Watch the kids and the children and the dogs that are decorated, and the costumes and some of the groups that come through. So it's a pleasure to be there. So we'll be looking for 6 to 8 people with an HT, and I'll be sending an email out probably Friday, 1 week ahead of time. That's about it.
All right, thank you, Doug.
November
Go ahead.
13th is the turkey trot. Mentioned that, I guess, as well. So and that's on Saturday. It's a foot race, and it's a 10K, and I think it's a 1K or 1 mile. They have a 1 mile race that goes south, and then they have a 10K that goes north around the airport, basically, here in Longmont. So I'll be sending emails out 2 or 3 weeks before the race.
I've actually worked that race. That's a lot of fun.
It is. And if somebody has a busy schedule, they can be, sign up for an early post in the race, and they'll be done, pretty early.
Right. All right.
So-
Anything else?
No, that's
Quick
it.
comment.
Go ahead.
Yeah, Chuck, thanks to KE0EE, Curtis, N0HAU is on the air HF wise.
Oh, good.
You have to get KE0EE to describe what all he did to help Curtis out. But I've been able to work ground wave HF wise with Curtis a couple times. And I think he'd be appreciative of people letting him know that he's getting out. So if you hear him on, give him a shout.
Sure. Well, I've talked to Curtis myself, helping him some other issues. So thank you, Don. Appreciate that. Yeah, Jerry, you working now?
I'll try it again. Can you hear me
Hey,
now?
We got you. We got you, buddy.
Okay. I just, since I haven't heard it mentioned yet tonight, I did get an email from Joe Hawley this week. And it looks like they're going to attempt to have a ham fest in January, their
Yes.
typical winter fest, first ham fest in 2022. I keep hoping fingers crossed that it can really happen. I know COVID is raising its ugly head in Larimer County, so take it with what you think. But check out their website. I did add it to the calendar, Chuck, and
Thank you.
I put an email, I mean a link to their website in the calendar entry. So just wanted to make everybody aware of that. That's it.
And AF0W, Brian, you had some things as well.
Yeah, I had a couple of announcements. First, Dick mentioned the King Supers program. We've also got another program going through Amazon called Amazon Smile. You can sign up for that, and it's the same type of deal. They give the club some sort of kickback when you make your purchases. Doesn't cost you anything to do. So we'd certainly appreciate it if you'd help out with both of those programs. There's information on signing up for both of those on the webpage, and then also in the splatter. The October splatter newsletter just came out yesterday. Members should have it in their email, and everyone can also read it on the club website, which is at w0eno.org. And the survey this month is regarding the club items for sale that Steve mentioned. So be sure and give that a look and give us your feedback on that. I also wanted to mention that the Rocky Mountain Ham University has put up the recordings of their 2 VHF DX presentations on their website. Their next presentation, actually it's scheduled for tonight at 7:30 on radio programming with Chirp. So they'll probably have that recording up shortly as well. These presentations are free and you can sign up at their website, which is www.rmham.org, and then just click on the RMHAM University link. That's all I've got.
All right, thank you, Brian. Anybody got anything else? Otherwise, I got one more quick announcement, and then Jim, that we're going to give you the floor, sir.
I got one thing.
Go ahead, Don.
So Jerry and I are both members of B-Cares, and of course we have some other members who are members of B-Cares too. But we are working a what do I call it? A program where
MCOM.
MCOM, and so tomorrow morning, right after 9:30, we have to send off our next presentation or our next item. But if you're interested in what we're doing with NCOM, give either Jerry or myself, and we'll be glad to help you out.
All right, thank you, Don. And with that, I was going to announce that the recruiting committee chair for B-Cares contacted me. So if you're interested in joining Aries Group in Boulder, Broomfield counties, you can check out their website at bouldercountyaries.org. Or if you're in Weld or Larimer County, R1D1 also has a website, and it's Colorado Aries 3dr2.org. They haven't changed it yet because they reorganized everything. But check out their website as well. I'm currently a member of R1D1 myself, and I'm also a director for one of the EOCs for Banner Health Systems in Larimer and Weld County. So Aries is a lot of fun, a lot of work, but you learn a lot and you're giving back to the community by participating. All right, with that said, Jim KH6HTV, you are our host, sir. The floor is now yours, and thank you for presenting this evening.
Okay, well, you were going to run the DVD, is that correct?
Yep. I can do that, or you, if you want to do it either way. I've got it loaded already in my computer.
Yeah, if you've got it loaded, okay. But all right, so first I'll introduce myself. KH6HTV. The KH6 call is a Hawaiian call, and it's because I used to be a snowbird, spending half the year out in Hawaii for about the last 18 years, but we finally gave that up. And the other call that's going to be relevant is this one here, which is a television repeater down here in Boulder. It does cover up through Longmont and reaches all the way almost to Cheyenne. And so we'll be talking about that. So that's W0BTV for Boulder Television. And we thought it would probably just be easier. I gave this talk, I guess it's 2 years ago now, to the Microsoft Ham Club. It was an online convention. They're located up in the Seattle, Washington area. And so to put together the talk, I ended up needing to record it on a DVD anyway. So thought that would make it easier here. And so Chuck will play that DVD, but after we get done, I'll be available for any questions that there are.
All right.
So I guess we're ready to go. Give
Okay,
it a,
give me a couple of seconds. I upgraded to Windows 11 and it screwed up my machine. So I'm having to download a DVD player really quick, which I don't know why Microsoft didn't provide one, which is weird.
do you need me to run it or something?
Yeah, I mean, you're a host as well. So if you want to run it, you can still run it from your machine as well.
Well, I'll have to go find it on my files here.
Okay, well, if you want to find it really quick and I'll wait for this to install really quick, I'll see which of us gets to it first. How about that? Because I'm trying to get this installed right now. So, because unfortunately, it looks like Microsoft Windows 11 doesn't come with a DVD player,
What?
which is weird. But
It doesn't come with a lot of other things too, Chuck.
yeah, I'm finding that out the hard way.
Everything.
Yeah.
You're surprised about that, boy.
But yeah, I've actually been a beta tester ever since it came out, but I never really, it's one of those things I didn't think of testing was the capability to play DVDs on it. So,
You know, I've pretty much been a beta tester myself since it came out. And I think one of the reasons, and I'm not positive on this, but I think one of the reasons why they didn't put that on there is a lot of the new laptops that are coming out now are coming out without DVDs.
that would probably make sense.
And I know the HP Pavilion 15 I've got, when I had to buy it to replace a Lenovo that had a security issue, I thought it had a DVD player on it. Turned out it did not come with one. So, and from what I'm seeing with a lot of the new specifications, they're being left off. Everything is going digital.
Yep.
That's why they have some plugins, guys, with DVDs with audio adaptivity to a USB port or whatever.
Yep. Yep. Exactly right.
All right, let's try this one more time. I think maybe I got it installed now. Let's see here.
Okay, well, in the meantime, I'm bringing up my slides. So I can do a live presentation here too. And actually I updated them recently. So let's see here. So I can do a share screen.
Yes, sir, you can.
Let's see if we do this right.
Oh, look at that.
Do we have that?
It says it started sharing your screen, but I'm not seeing anything yet. There we go. Now we see it.
Okay, so you do see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay, let's go to the slideshow here. So I guess you're going to get the live presentation after all. Okay, so yeah, the talk here is going to be on amateur high definition digital television. And here I am in my ham shack with lots of TV monitors around. And there's the electronics test bench. Okay, so first thing is the FCC does allow hams to transmit what we call fast scan, because a lot of hams only think about slow scan on HF when we're talking about video. But fast scan means broadcast quality television. And the FCC allows this on the 70 centimeter band and all higher microwave frequencies. So let's look at the 70 centimeter band. We've got 30 megahertz there. And in the United States, TV channels are allocated in 6 megahertz spots. And it does turn out that the cable TV channels, you notice there it says channel 57, 58 up through 61. those actually do land right in the ham 70 centimeter band. Channel 57 there goes from 420 to 426. And the ARL band plan basically specifies that channel 60 should be designated as a repeater input, channel 57 repeater outputs, and channel 58 as a simplex channel. We want to typically avoid 59 and 61 because of other ham usage. Let's go back in the origin of television. It actually goes back over 100 years, back to the mid-20s, 1920s, not the 2020s. And really the actual first broadcast was by the BBC in England in 1929 and US 1939. At that point, they used the technology for radio that was available. In other words, AM, amplitude modulation. And in 1941, the FCC actually etched in stone, back in the Stone Age, the TV standards that then remained unchanged for 60 years. They only updated it in 1953, adding color. Let's look at what an analog TV signal looks like. It's basically if you were thinking about it on the old TV sets, where you had an electron beam going across a cathode ray tube, it would scan from left to right and from top to bottom. And we would get a total of essentially 30 frames per second. And that was fast enough that you could not see flicker. Actually, the motion pictures ran at 25 frames per second. And the older system interlaced scans. So you can see the red lines. Then when it got to the bottom of the picture, it would retrace up and then put in the dotted blue lines. So that's the origin of the standard, what we call 480i video, 480 pixels high, in other words, in I for interlace. And what we see down there in the lower left corner is a typical video signal that you would see on an oscilloscope. It starts with a pulse that goes negative, and that's the synchronizing pulse that tells the TV monitor to reset to the left side of the screen and then start a new scan. The next thing you see is a burst of 3.58 megahertz, and that's a reference signal for color decoding. And then the things there that are shown between 0 and 100, that's the various grayscales of the actual analog signal. So 0 is black, 100 is white. Okay, so in the old analog system, this is what we would see in the spectrum. We have a 6 megahertz wide channel. We have it is an AM signal. So we have an AM carrier that's 1.25 megahertz above the bottom end of the channel. And that carrier is always there. The upper side, the thing called luminous, that is basically contains the synchronizing pulses and the black to white grayscale of the image. And so the original TV, that's all that was there. Then way up at on the far right, we see what's called the audio carrier. So that's 4.5 megahertz above the video carrier, and that was an FM signal that carried the audio channel. When they then added color, you can see at 3.58 megahertz above there, what is in red. So that was extra modulation. That was a phase modulation that was put in to carry the color information. Now, the other important thing is this is an AM signal, and normally with AM, we have full double sidebands. For TV, they discovered that if they could conserve some spectrum by chopping off part of the lower sideband. So that's why you see only 1¼ megahertz of the lower sideband present. Okay, now if we went, and actually I see that John KF0RQ is one of the on here, and John did a lot with us many years ago with B-Cares with television. So this would be what the old ham TV transmitters looked like in terms of their spectrum. They didn't do any filtering on the lower sideband. They just ran full double sideband and just let the receiver get it. And they didn't worry about polluting the spectrum, if you will. If you look at that plot there, the scales are 10 dB per division vertically and 10 megahertz per division horizontally. So that one signal there, instead of occupying 6 megahertz, chewed up a lot more than that. Okay, so now if we were, and this is, B-Cares always ran this kind of signal in the analog days. We added filters that chopped off the lower sideband. So compare that signal. Oops, we went too far. Compare that one to this one. That would be what you would get when you chopped off all the extra extraneous spectrum and run it through a 6 megahertz bandpass filter. Okay. Well, what were the limitations on analog TV? Well, basically, the biggest one was it used AM modulation. And as most hams know on HF, we get a lot better penetration using single sideband than AM. Although there are still, if you get on 80 meters, you'll still hear some good AM signals. Okay, so 4.2 megahertz was required for black and white video with the 480 lines. And that meant if we were running full AM, we needed at least 9 megahertz, but we used what we call vestigial upper sideband to reduce the bandwidth down to 6. And those standards, again, were set literally in 1941, the same year I was born. So what's the defect with analog TV? Well, a big one is snow. If you have weak signals, you see a lot of snow in the picture. And we need actually 40 dB of signal to noise ratio at the receiver to get a perfect picture. That translates to being a very strong signal of minus 60 dBm. The other thing that came along with analog TV is if there was any multipath on the signal that came from the transmitter to your receiver, that appeared as a ghost in your image. Okay, FM TV was added later for microwave links, and it worked much better with weaker signals, but it burned up even more spectrum, so it was only used in microwaves. Okay, so this is why we don't use FM on 70 centimeters. Here's an analog TV signal, but it's being transmitted with 4 megahertz of deviation FM. So again, these are the same, it's 10 megahertz per division horizontally there. The bottom plot is an analog video signal only, and then by the time we add stereo sound subcarriers to it, we get that signal up there on the top. Put that on 70 centimeters and you've wiped out the whole 70 centimeter band. Okay, analog days. Okay, when we were running HF and you're making a contact with somebody, invariably we pass a signal report. Unfortunately, way too many people just always give a perfect 5.9 report, even if they can barely hear somebody. But anyway, in the typical reporting is the 5, the first digit is the readability, and it runs from 0 to 5. And then the second digit is a S meter reading. Okay, so for picture units, we're basically just giving a quality number running from 0 to 5. So when you say somebody is 5 by 9 on audio, that means, very totally perfect readable. If you say somebody is a 3 by 2 or whatever, that means I'm having trouble reading you, but I still know you're there. Okay, so this is basically if we saw a P0, it's just barely maybe there with some sync pulses maybe being detected. At a P1 level, we can just barely make out some call signs, and that's it. And we really need to get up to a P3 before it starts to become usable at all. P5 is going to be perfect. Okay, so now here is a plot of picture units versus the input power we put into a television receiver. And if you look at the one called VUSB, that's basically the old analog system, essentially AM. And so down there at about minus 100 dBm, we're just barely being able to see something that's happening. But literally that curve climbs and has to get all the way to minus 60 dBm before we have a perfect picture. With FM, we have the quieting effect. And if you notice minus 80 dBm, we've got a perfect picture with FM. Okay, the last one that looks like a perfect staircase is digital. And here we're talking, I'll explain what those acronyms mean later. But basically we've got a perfect P5 picture with maybe about minus 97 dBm. If we lose 1 dB of signal strength, we've got 0, no picture at all. So it's either all there or not at all. So I think that curve alone should dramatically demonstrate the superiority of the digital. Okay, so now I claim amateur television is no longer amateur. We're going to get perfect pictures and CD quality audio. So these are pictures that were taken off the air of local Boulder County hams participating in our amateur television net. So there's Don, Bill, Pete, Debbie, Larry. Anyway, those are actual recorded pictures off the air. You can see there's no defects at all in them. Okay, so we do go to major digital television, but there will be one major objection that people come up with. And that is what I call latency, or it's another term for delay. There's a tremendous amount of computer processing going on, both in the transmitter and the receiver, and it just takes a while for the computers to churn out those bits. So we typically see a delay of about a half a second. And if we start going through multiple repeaters, those delays build up. And because of that latency, I personally don't recommend digital be used for flying a drone. It becomes a safety issue. You run into the side of a building or a person before you realize it. So let's now get into a technical discussion of digital television. And I'm going to make a distinction. Probably a lot of you have read or heard about in the amateur publications, mesh networking. And I'm going to say what I'm talking about is not mesh networking. So mesh is really a point-to-point, two-way communication, whereas what we're doing for digital television, it's a wide area broadcast. It's a one-way transmission. Mesh requires transmit and receive boxes. Digital television can be one single transmitter, an unlimited number of receivers. Basically like broadcast off of Lookout Mountain with the. So Mesh requires handshaking between the two units for a data transfer to happen. Digital television is broadcast. No handshaking required. Anyone can receive it. Let's get back to this issue of spectrum. Here I'm going to, on one single plot on a spectrum analyzer, I've put 3 separate signals on there to show you what they look like. So this is a live plot. Again, the horizontal scale is 10 megahertz per division and 10 dB vertically. So on the left, we see the old analog signal using vestigial upper sideband. Then in the middle, we see an FM signal. Both of those are analog, 480 I resolution. Now on the right, we see what's a typical digital TV signal. And this just looks like white noise riding on a rectangular pedestal that's 6 megahertz wide. And actually, if you were to take that same signal and put it into your single sideband radio and listen to it, you can't tell there's any difference. It just sounds like background white noise with the hiss until you look at your S meter, and your S meter might be pegged. Okay, let's talk about the broadcast standards that are used for digital television. On the top, we have the one that's used here currently in the United States for broadcast TV, and it's called 8 VSB for 8 vestigial sidebands. And it also goes by the acronym ATSC. So that was for Advanced Television System Committee. Okay, then the others that are basically not US, but Europe and most all of the rest of the world. We have DVB, which stands for Digital Video Broadcast. And then the -C would be for cable. The -S is for satellite. And the -T is for what we call terrestrial. In other words, this would be broadcast transmitters that are here on the earth, sending signals out horizontally over to the horizon. This was basically all developed in Europe, and it's the European standard for broadcast TV, and it's actually been adopted practically everywhere else all around the globe. The US system is only used in Canada, Mexico, and South Korea. Everybody else is using the DVB-T. The last one I put down at the bottom is called ATSC 3.0. And this is a brand new variation on DVB-T that the American broadcasters are now transitioning to that. And it is not going to be backwardly compatible with ATSC 1.0, which was the 8 VSB. Okay, so why, okay, is it, I'm going to back up. Okay, the DVB-T I have put there in red, and I said that's the choice of most hams here in the United States for doing digital ATV. Looks like I got my A and D turned around. Okay, so why don't we use the commercial broadcast one? Well, for one thing, it doesn't perform as well technically. And as a matter of fact, there was a big argument back in the 90s when they were deciding which way to go. Both ATSC and DVB-T, those were all both developed in the early 90s. And there was Actually, I found in an FCC report that they actually admitted that the DVB-T worked better. But by that time, they had already made their decision to go with the ATSC. Well, 8 to 10 years ago, when hams here in the US started becoming serious about digital TV, to be perfectly honest, the major factor in deciding what to do was the cost of a modulator. By that time, some modulators had come on the market for about $600. And at that point, if I wanted to buy an ATSC modulator, it was going to cost me at least 10 times that. That's not the case now. The price of them has now come down to about the same level as buying DVB-T. But really, that cost factor was what pushed most hams several years ago to go with DVB-T. Okay, so that is the choice now for hams here in the US. I might add that the hams in Europe, particularly in England, were well ahead of North American hams in terms of working with digital TV. And they early on opted to go with DVB-S, which was for satellite. And the major driving factor there was cheap receivers for satellite TV were available. And those basically were for 23 centimeters, and the 70 centimeter band in Europe is much smaller. And so 23 centimeters and satellite receivers pushed the hams in Europe. So they pretty much are dominantly doing DVB-S. Anyway, so as I mentioned here, this is basically for Europe, but not the US. This uses a system of 2,000 or 8,000 closely spaced subcarriers, each carrying packetized digital data. And they randomized the way they spread the data among these subcarriers. So if you lost one or two or a few of these, you still didn't lose the whole signal. The types of modulation that are used, QPSK, all right, a lot of you are familiar with what's called PSK for HF, that's phase shift keying. Simple, what we call PSK31 was binary phase shift keying, which basically, if you think about a sine wave, just turn it upside down, do a 180-degree phase shift. QPSK is quadrature phase shift keying, which means you do 90-degree phase shift. A 90-degree phase shift on a sine wave, it becomes a cosine. So that's just how you send your data, is by shifting the phase. Okay, QAM is quadrature amplitude modulation. And this is now a mixture of phase shift keying and amplitude changes, but the amplitudes are now in discrete steps. So anyway, the DVB-T uses QPSK or 16-level QAM or 64. It also includes dynamic channel characterization and correction. And this is where we are able to eliminate multipath, the ghosting effect of multipath, by characterizing what the channel looks like and then doing a lot of fancy mathematics in the computer to eliminate the echoes. And we also use a lot of forward error correction. So this system then becomes extremely tolerant of a very extreme multipath. Works far better in that regard than the US ATSC. It also works very well in mobile situation with a lot of Doppler shift, whereas the US ATSC doesn't work worth a darn if there's any Doppler shift going on. So with DVB-T, I've driven down the Boulder Turnpike at 70 miles an hour and can receive or transmit signals perfectly with no issues. Okay, so let's look at what kind of receiver sensitivities. You recall that graph we showed earlier. If I go with QPSK, which is the most elementary level of coding, minus 97 dBm is typical receiver sensitivity. If we add levels of amplitude to that to go to 16 QAM, we lose 5 dB in sensitivity. And if we go to 64 QAM, we get down to minus 82. Okay, if we add a good low noise preamp in front of a typical digital TV receiver, that usually will bias about another 3 dB. And if we do very aggressive forward error correction, that can bias also up to another 3 dB. Okay, so why would we do QPSK versus QAM? Well, the main thing is how much data can you pass over that 6 megahertz channel? The QPSK tops out at about 7 megabits per second. You go to QAM, that will double that up to 14. 64 QAM, triple it up to about 22 megabits. Why would we want more megabits? Well, those faster, higher bit rates, if you want to follow some really fast action sports, that's where they're required. However, in blue here I've mentioned, for typical ham TV, where we're running low power marginal antennas, that 15 dB difference between QPSK or 64 QAM, that usually means the difference of I get a perfect picture or I get no picture. And we've found that for most ham normal video scenes, we're not running high-speed sports, that we get perfectly acceptable 1080p high definition images using the QPSK. Okay, so what does a typical ham TV setup look like? Well, not too many parts really. We start off with our video source, which can be a camcorder. It could be your PC computer with the HDMI output. It could be a DVD player, whatever. Okay, we have another box we now call the modulator, and that takes the HDMI input from our video source, does a lot of number crunching on it and puts it into the proper format for what we call DVB-T. It includes a frequency synthesizer to put us on the right channel and pops out a signal. But this signal is typically a low power signal of the order of a milliwatt or less. So we do need an amplifier to boost it. Now this cannot be a class C amplifier like you would use with FM. It must be a very, very linear amplifier because the signal that's coming out looks like noise with a lot of random stuff going on, but you don't want to chop off any of the peaks on that noise-like signal, or you've destroyed that digital signal. So that has to be a linear amplifier. Then on the receive side, takes a receiver and HDMI output to go to any video monitor, and maybe a preamp might be needed. Okay, so what you're seeing here now would be a typical setup, and this is essentially what BCares is using in all of their video gear. What we see on the right is a camcorder. We can buy these things very high quality camcorders for a little bit of nothing these days. We're showing a Canon there that new sells for about $220 and gives you a fantastic wide angle to telephoto lens, a monitor screen, and 1080p resolution. The box in the center is going to be the modulator, and we'll talk more about that in a little bit. And then coming out of that, we go into a linear amplifier, which we'll show you. So basically, if you want to get into ham TV digital, unfortunately, this is where you spend pretty much all your money. When we get to the receivers, you can get those dirt cheap, but you're talking about basically the equivalent of an entry-level HF transceiver, or if you go buy an ICOM 7300 for $1,000, this is going to cost you the equivalent of that ICOM. So there's where the price break. Okay. Well, there's one company in Taiwan that is our major supplier for the modulators and receivers. They do have reasonable prices, good reliability, and important, they are intentionally supporting the amateur TV market. And they have excellent customer support and easy to buy and prompt shipping. What I've put here in red is, and we'll talk about this a little more, is they have been unique in providing lower bandwidths. So I previously mentioned we were doing 6 megahertz TV channels. In some other countries around the world, they use 7 or 8 megahertz. HIDES responded to requests from HAM saying, can we do this at lower bandwidths? And it turns out that yes, we can get down to 1 or 2 megahertz bandwidth and still get great digital pictures. And it's unique with the equipment from this company. Okay, so here's the modulator I showed you. This actually covers from 100 megahertz all the way to 2.5 gigahertz in this box. So that would be the 70, 33, 23, or 13 centimeter bands. Does DVB-T up to 1080p. And again, in red, we can run the bandwidth down to 1 megahertz on that. About $370. Okay, this looks like the same box, but this is their companion receiver. This particular receiver here is the lowest cost one they offer. Frequency synthesized basically covers the 70 and 33 centimeter bands. In this one, we can get down to 2 megahertz on bandwidth. But we're talking $125 there for that one. More expensive unit would go all the way up to cover the 2.4 gigahertz band. Okay, but you don't need to spend even that much money. If you go onto the internet and look for DVB-T set-top receivers, you'll find a huge number of them offered. And these were basically built for the consumer market for the rest of the world, really. And so they churn out huge numbers of these. So this would be the equivalent of the set-top box that the cable company provides you when you want to be hooked up to the cable. It's absolutely no different. HDMI output to drive your TV monitor and an antenna input. Instead of connecting the cable to it, you can connect an outside antenna. And I've listed here, get these under $50. We've actually found one of these that works, believe it or not, for $15. These only work for broadcast, which was 6, 7, or 8 megahertz bandwidths. Anyway, and I do offer a caution, not all of them will work on the amateur 70 centimeter band. Some of them, because that's not broadcast band, they block it out. So before you just blindly buy one of these, you need to ask us for which ones you should buy that we know will work. Now, if you really want to save some money, a lot of you probably have played around with these USB TV tuner dongles as an SDR radio, cheap SDR radio that you can buy on Amazon or whatever. Well, you know, I've seen them as low as $10, and these actually will work to receive TV. Actually, they were actually originally developed for that purpose. We use the free video program called VLC with these. The one hangup is to make these work with VLC and to receive the digital TV, they require a different driver than what you would be using if you were using this thing as an SDR radio. Okay, let's now talk about how we rate transmitters for television. Well, if we're running FM, we're going to smack that final amplifier absolutely as hard as possible to get the maximum saturated power we can get out of it. If we're running single sideband, we look at the peak on the envelope. So a 100-watt HF rig running single sideband, that's the peak on the voice peaks. It's not the average power. For AM, we talk about the average carrier power. And with 100% modulation, that's going to be 1/4 of the peak envelope. So for example, if I have a 100-watt ICOM 7300 single sideband rig, if I put that in the AM mode, I'm putting out 25 watts. For analog video TV, again, there are synchronizing pulses in the waveform, and the sync pulse is the highest part of the output. And so it's very easy. You just look for the sync and you measure the sync, and that's basically a PEP rating again. For digital video, the signal just looks like random noise. It's got a lot of peaks and valleys in it, and we can't see any distinguishing feature like the sync tips on video, on analog. So we need to rate this by average power. Okay, so let's take that and let's take a linear amplifier, and if we use it in different services, this same amplifier, what are we going to get? So this amplifier, if we run FM or CW, we might get saturated 70 watts. 1 dB gain compression on this amplifier might be down at 50. So running single sideband, we might let our peaks run up to about 50 watts. I'm running analog TV and I don't want to compress that sync at all. We're going to back that off to 25 watts. Digital, we're down to 10 watts average. That means we need a minimum 8 dB headroom to accommodate the peaks in that noise-like signal. If we tried to drive this amplifier harder to get more power out, we're going to destroy the digital signal and nothing will work. Okay, so where do you get these amplifiers? Okay, full disclosure. I got a small hobby business here in my ham shack actually building these amplifiers. So all of the amplifiers that are used in the B-Cares pack sets I've built, and most of the hams in the Boulder TV community are using my amplifiers. So I'll show you what they look like. So these are two amplifiers that I build. The one on the right is the kind that is found in the pack sets for B-Cares, and the one on the left is a higher power one. So it runs 10 watts typically for base station, and that's the same amplifier we're using in our TV repeater. And that is actually a 70-watt amplifier if I ran that with FM. But we're getting 10 watts for digital TV. The one on the right puts out 3 watts, and it's more suitable for portable ARS use because it doesn't draw as much current. And if you're carrying a big battery that's in your backpack, that's really important. So I do offer these amplifiers for the 70, 33, and 23 centimeter bands, and they have typically about 50 dB gain. And you'll notice a knob, it's very, very simple to operate. The one on the right, there's only one control, and it just sets the RF power level. The maximum power, or where you can drop it -5 or -10 dB. And that was very important for BCARES use. That amplifier might pull 3 amps in the high power position, but if you drop power down 10 dB, it's pulling maybe 3/4 of an amp at most. And a lot of the BCARES, so that meant dropping 3 watts, 10 dB, that's 300 milliwatts. And it turned out for a lot of the BCARES operations, particularly at the University of Colorado football games, they were typically running these amplifiers only putting out 300 milliwatts. So they could conserve battery power and things still worked fine. Okay, antennas. Well, the key thing here is broadband. If you were going to run TV and you might be anywhere on the 70 centimeter band, you want that antenna to work well at 420 megahertz. You want it to work as well at 420 megahertz as it would at 450. And a lot of the antennas, unfortunately, most antenna manufacturers really don't give you hardly any information about what kind of frequencies their antenna will really cover. And so some of the antennas will only work in the upper band part, FM part of the band, like from 420 or 450, 440 to 450. And some that are designed strictly for single sideband, and they work well at 432, but they don't work well a few megahertz on either side. So probably before you go buy an antenna, you need to ask us which one we recommend that will be broadband. Okay, what about polarization? Well, the Boulder ARS group is standardized on using vertical polarization, and because it's most suitable for backpack, portable operation, mobile, and repeaters. And here's a couple of BCARES fellows working at the CU football game, and they're using in the bag is their transmitter and battery, and the camera is mounted on a tripod, and then they have just a rubber duck on that metal post on the camera tripod. Vertical polarization. Okay. Unfortunately, there will be some setup required for digital TV. It won't be as simple as analog, but I claim it's far simpler than DMR, D-Star, and so forth, and really a lot simpler than your FM handheld. And as opposed to like a DMR, there's no registration required, and you don't have to have a PhD to work it. But there will be some setup required for both the modulator and the receiver. So the modulators we program initially using an external PC computer via USB cable. But once they've been programmed, you don't need the computer at that point. The only control on the modulator from that point on, there's 2 buttons on the front panel, channel up, channel down, and you program up to 100 channels in it. Obviously, we're never going to use that many, but really the modulator, the only control on it is you select which channel you want to operate on. Okay, the key parameters we do need to set up is what kind of video encoding we're going to use, how much resolution, the bit rate we're going to use, what kind of audio encoding, frequency, bandwidth, modulation, how many subcarriers, how much forward error correction, and something called guard interval, which was basically a sync. And so on the PC program, that's in these areas that I've highlighted with arrows, that those are selectable items that we set up initially. On the receiver, unfortunately, it's not as simple to use as an old analog TV, but it's no different than any other digital TV receiver. You go buy a receiver at Target, Best Buy, or whatever, and bring it home, unpack it, and turn it on, and it's going to be dumb. And right away, it says, connect me to the cable or connect me to an antenna and let me go scan and see what's out there. And so until it's done that scanning, it's a totally dumb box that does nothing. And so once it's been scanned and found a signal, it memorizes it, keeps it in memory, and it's there until you've wiped out the memory again. Okay, but these receivers are smart. I mentioned there was a bunch of different parameters that we can check. You know, like, do I want to use QPSK or 64 QAM? How much forward error correction and so forth. Okay, it turns out in the signaling that comes out of the transmitter, there's actually with each frame of data, there's some metadata that tells the receiver what it's doing. And so it tracks automatically. So the transmitter could suddenly switch from QPSK to 16 QAM, and you might lose a half a second of pictures, and bingo, it's working again. Okay, I do have an application note on my website that goes through a lot of the details on what it's required to set these up. How about identifying your transmission? So the FCC requires us to identify every 10 minutes. Well, I say it's extremely simple with digital TV, as it's already done automatically for us. You program your call sign into the modulator, and then instead of every 10 minutes, that call sign gets sent out as part of the metadata header with every frame of video. So you want to see the call sign on the receiver, you push the information button on your receiver's remote control, and it displays the call sign coming in. I will admit there's been some controversy about how legal this is. And so if you're not comfortable with doing that, just hold up your QSL card in front of the TV camera, or just center your call sign by talking into the microphone. Okay, let's talk about propagation characteristics for these various bands. Well, the lowest band we can use is 70 centimeters. And really, that's probably the best one. That's effectively the equivalent of what broadcast TV is using. On most all broadcast TV now is on the UHF band starting at 470. And we could put up to 5, 6 megahertz channels in our 30 megahertz. Or we could actually put, if we went to lower bandwidth, 2 megahertz, we could put 15 channels there. 33 centimeter, that's the 900 megahertz band. Forget it. It's a junk band. I mean, we've done some work on TV there, but a spectrum analyzer looking at that band, I had just all the unlicensed part of signals going on. The noise floor is about 10 to 15 dB higher than it is outside of the 900. Really, the second choice for the band is 23 centimeters. And actually, our TV repeater most of our users are putting their signal into a repeater using the 23 centimeter. Main problem we've encountered on 23 centimeters is there's a strong FAA radar down at near Buckley Field, and it's got a powerful signal from 1265 to 1270. 13 centimeters, it's marginal there with a lot of Wi-Fi there. Once we get into the higher microwave bands, this is really becomes more point-to-point and where we're using high gain distances. But some hams elsewhere in the world have in fact gotten digital TVs over 500 kilometers on these bands. So how do we get there? Well, basically, same thing as if we were wanting to run single sideband on these things. We have an IF. We need to use a mixer, a local oscillator to get us boosted up to the higher band. And then likewise for our microwave receiver, do the same thing with mixers, local oscillator. The key thing to make it work for digital TV is we need very, very low phase noise on that local oscillator. Other than that, that's probably the biggest thing. Repeaters. Okay, I claim it's far simpler to build a digital TV repeater than it is actually to do a FM voice. And if you're going to build a repeater, you're looking at a minimum of probably about 2.5 kilobucks. What's it consist of? Not much. We look there on the left, we have our receiver with an HDMI output. We plug that right straight into a modulator, linear amplifier, and we're going to do typically what works best for television is using 2 separate antennas, not a duplexer like you typically use with an FM voice repeater. The only other thing I've noted one signal there I call a valid signal. So in the receiver, we need to have some detector that tells us when there's a signal coming in, a valid signal. Well, typically these receivers will have a little LED on the front panel that goes from red to green when it's got a good signal coming in. So we just pick off that LED signal and run it over and run a push to talk line on our linear amplifier. Okay, the other thing I noted here is bandpass filters, 6 megahertz wide for the channels. This is what a typical bandpass filter looks like. And everybody that's worked in BCARES over the years when you were running analog remembers carrying one of these in your backpack. These were pretty heavy, made it out of machined brass and copper. So that's it's basically a set of quarter wave resonator rods that are spaced like putting meshing your fingers together. And so that's where the name interdigital comes from. And then there's a little screw on the end that provides a little capacitance off the open end of the rod for fine tuning that. So that's what a 70 centimeter interdigital bandpass filter would look like if we take the lid off. All right, well, here is in fact what I call a basic 70 centimeter repeater, which I built a couple of years ago for the Pueblo, Colorado Ham Club. In the lower right, we have the high-DAS modulator and receiver. In the middle, we have the 10-watt amplifier. On the left, we have an Astron 12-volt power supply. The silver boxes are interdigital bandpass filters. There happens to be an HDMI splitter and so forth, but there's your basic repeater right there. what we have in Boulder is a lot more complex. It's a whole relay rack of equipment. It's actually a dual band system. We have inputs for both analog or digital TV on 70 centimeters, and we have an input for digital TV on 23 centimeters. Then there are two transmitters in this. Again, dual mode. The 70 centimeter transmitter could transmit either an analog TV signal or digital. Normally, it's always running digital. And then at 5 centimeters, which is at 5.9 gigahertz, we have another transmitter that is running FM TV. And here is the coverage map for our repeater. The areas shaded in green are strong signal areas where the signal is at least 10 dB or stronger above threshold. The yellow shaded areas are weak signals where you've got at most a 10 dB margin. The picture on the right is Don Apte and I, let's see, it says 2018. We had driven all the way up to Greeley, and if you notice up there, the signal says that we get just to the south of Greeley on Interstate 25, and we should be able to signal. And we set up up there underneath a microwave tower, which you can see in the maybe in the background over my shoulder, right on I-25. And we were able to successfully get into the TV repeater on both 23 centimeters and 70 centimeters, two-way contact. So, and this also, the coverage area, we've also confirmed, if you notice the yellow line that goes out to the northeast of Greeley, we've actually confirmed that our 5.9 gigahertz signal reaches all the way out there. Okay, in the US, there are other television repeaters. We've been able to document that there are at least 41 that are active at present. 23 are running analog, 18 doing digital. 13 of those digital are in major metropolitan areas where they don't have much room in the 70 centimeter band. They're actually running 2 or 4 megahertz bandwidth. The biggest network is somewhat like our Colorado connection, called the ATN Amateur Television Network, and it links a whole bunch of TV repeaters in Southern California, Las Vegas, Nevada, and over to Phoenix and Tucson. TV repeaters are on the internet, including our own Boulder TV repeater. So if you want to watch our TV repeater, and you can actually dial it up on the internet. We go to the British Amateur Television Club. They host a server. And if you go to that particular website shown there, click on streamer, you will find listed over 60 amateur television repeaters around the world. And you will find ours there when we were active. And that actually photograph there, picture was actually from the time we were up at Cheyenne. Okay, you want more information? Well, you can go to my website. I've got over 60 application notes. Probably the key app note to get started is what I call application note 55. This is a TV handbook. A lot of the information I've talked about here is in this handbook. And actually, this is posted on the ARL website also. If you go to amateur television If you search for amateur television at the ARL, it'll come up with this application note 55. So this PowerPoint presentation is also available on my website and available as a DVD. Unfortunately, we weren't able to play that today, but I guess you ended up getting the latest up version live. So at that point, I'm going to open it up if there are questions. So.
All right, thank you very much, Jim. That was very informational. So it's good to see that, we're doing stuff with TV as well. And I know Boulder's big on that. I don't know if anybody else in Colorado that's doing it a whole lot, but
Well,
Pueblo's doing it. Okay. So I have a question. I know you were doing the CSU games at one point. Is there any other big events that BCares has done recently?
Not
using DTV?
really. I think, to be perfectly honest, we started in 1995 when the CU police chief asked BCares to do that, and we did it for what, almost over 20 years, well, more than that, probably almost 25. But a hell of a lot has changed in the world. Everybody carries a TV camera and transmitter in their pocket these days. All the police officers are carrying
body cams.
Body cams, and I think, and over the years, the CU when they remodeled the stadium, they put in a huge network of closed circuit TV cameras, and so I guess in that sense, BCares eventually became a little obsolete on that one. Probably the last thing I'm aware of was essentially pretty much right at a year ago when we had the Calwood fire. We did have 2 cameras set up, and really one was at my place and another was at Don Nelson's place, and we gave 2 views of the Front Range fire for several days that was being presented at the EOC. But I actually don't know of anything that's happened since then.
I do.
What we used to do, and actually I see there's John yawning. Hi, John. John worked with me a long time ago. Actually, for many, many years, we were actually doing television for the Boulder Sheriff SWAT team also. And John used to be maybe you still are you on the Jefferson County Mounted Patrol anymore, John? John's muted.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, John.
I retired from that, but my question is, so you're not doing CU football anymore? Because the sheriff, the police officer from CU actually came to me and said, can you do this? And that's how it started many, many years ago.
Yeah, that was 95.
It's still going on.
Yeah. Well, we haven't done it for a couple of years now. So, yeah. So, I think, this made a major change in.
Yeah. I have a couple of questions. I think Jerry also had a question as well.
Basically, I had a comment, a couple of incidences where we've used BCares amateur television in past years was Republican or Democratic convention coverage. And also we helped out CU University with coverage, awareness coverage for the 420 events for several years. And I think you were probably involved with some of those too, Jim, but those, we presented a video right into the EOC and they really, really enjoyed it.
Cool.
Probably probably the biggest event that we ever pulled off and was the most technically challenging. And this was before digital days, but it was a boulder race. So after the bombing at the Boston Marathon, the next very big foot race to follow that was going to be the Boulder. And at that point, most people didn't know this happened, but the Department of Homeland Security came roaring into Boulder County and pulled together the law enforcement agencies and, particularly the sheriff and CU Police, Boulder Police. And they actually asked B-Cares to sit down at the table with them. I believe Alan Bishop was the chairman at the time. He's chairman again. And anyway, there was pre-planning as to how they were going to handle the Boulder, and people aren't aware of it, but there were a fair number of snipers put on tops of rooftops and so forth along the route and in the stadium and so forth. And B-Cares got tasked, and maybe this was Alan thumping his chest saying we can do it. They asked us for 8 separate TV camera images from around the course. 8. Well, at that point we said, well, we have 4 channels, and typically we'd been running 4 channels of video in the CU stadium. But we ended up actually pulling it off. We had cameras up at the start line and in the finish line, and we dual used the 70 centimeter band. We set up a portable repeater on Flagstaff Mountain, picked up all the pictures that came in from the race course on those 4 70 centimeter channels, put them into a quad processor, which put 4 images into one, sent that out on microwave back to the command post at the CU Stadium and also at the EOC. And then also at the stadium, they had 4 cameras roving around in the stadium. They picked those pictures, put those in a quad processor again, sent that on another microwave link out to the EOC. I think we only really ended up with one. Most times we were able to get 7 pictures, not 8, but because of some mutual interference. But that was our biggest technical TV challenge ever.
Cool. Well, I got a couple of questions in the chat. Is there any point to look into analog TV nowadays, or if someone wanted to get into amateur TV, should they just start with digital?
Well, you can do the analog, but it's going to cost you about the same. And our TV repeater will accept analog. So if somebody still and there's still a bunch of guys around here in the area that probably still have an analog TV transmitter. And yes, you can get on the air, and yes, you can get into our TV repeater. Our TV repeater has three receivers on it. They're all active, and a signal coming in on any one of those receivers will automatically turn on the repeater. And so one of those receivers is on 439 megahertz. We do put a priority ranking on it that if 2 signals come in at the same time, the digital signal will get priority over the analog, but other than that, and okay, the other thing on the, well, the cost to receive is essentially nothing. As I indicated, we've even found a receiver that we can buy for 15 bucks. And we've made the offer. Those receivers have to be trained. So we've made the offer, if anybody wants the receiver, I buy the receiver for you. I train it so it will work, and then sell it to you at cost.
Okay.
Yeah, if you just go buy the receiver and hook it up, it's not going to work.
But you can you also get a regular TV to get on the analog TV?
Yes, the analog TV you can receive on an ordinary TV set. You have to put it in the cable mode though. So you would go to cable channels 57 through 61.
Okay. Cool. That's good information. I got another question here. It says repeaters normally are controversial. Station 1 sends, then listens to station 2. How do all the linked repeater systems work?
Okay, well, the one in Southern California basically uses a whole bunch, uses microwave links on the 3.5 and 5 gigahertz, 5.8 gigahertz bands.
Okay. And then a follow-up to station 1 sends some video. What triggers him to stop and receive from station 2?
Say that again.
There was another question after that. Says station 1 sends some video. What triggers him to stop and receive from station 2 on the repeater system?
Well, we run a net on Thursday afternoons, and basically there's a net control on 2 meters that who tells who to use the repeater at one time. Or if 2 signals come on the air, the strongest one will dominate. And actually with digital, I think if one signal is, trying to remember, is either 5 or 10 dB stronger than the other one, it will totally capture and you'll see no interference from the other signal.
So basically the strongest wins.
Yep, just like on FM.
Okay. Got another question. Well, basically it was a comment, then a question. It says, early on the day of field day, some RMHAM guys were using our repeater as they set up a video link from some field day site to somewhere else. I think they were taking a logical channel on one of their microwave links. Was this using any of your technology, or was it just simple HDMI in and out over a microwave link?
It was me. Okay, so for the Boulder Amateur Radio Club field day, we went to Batasso open space, which is up on the flank of Sugarloaf Mountain. And Alan Bishop was the field day chairman, and he said, "Hey, Jim, why don't we send the pictures of our field day out to the rest of the world?" And so we basically set up a link where we did not have a direct path from Batasso into our repeater. Our repeater, by the way, is located at NCAR, the same location as the BARC 14670 repeater. So yeah, we needed to do a link out to another station. Actually, I linked to my own home station. I believe I sent a signal in on 441 to my home station where I live roughly about 75th and South Boulder Road, about 5 miles east of NCAR. And then from there, I had set up my own home equipment to shoot it back out on 23 centimeters to the TV repeater. And then once it was on the TV repeater, another receiver picked that up and put it onto the internet. So we were unable to use the 7.0 repeater for voice from there. Same reason, it was blocked by the Flatiron Mountains. So we used your Longmont repeater to coordinate getting that set up and confirming that it was working. So I'm the guilty party.
No, you're good. I mean, you know, that they're there to be used. So I know Ron used to be big with your guys' group, K2RAS, before he moved out to Washington. You know, we now have Marcus taken over in 7CTM. So for our technical chair, but yeah, you know, we can all play nice together and help each other out. That's what it's all about. I did say there was somebody said, thank you for the presentation. One other question I have in the chat is, how did football TV end? Was it us or them?
You mean in stopping working at the CU?
Yeah, I believe that's what.
I'm not totally positive. Jerry might know better, but it's my understanding that they ended up with a new police chief for the CU Police Department, and that lady decided she didn't want to use the hams.
Okay.
It was not a decision by B-Cares to not do it.
All right.
Am I correct, Jerry? You're muted.
You're muted,
Yes,
Jerry.
it took me a minute to unmute there. That's basically what I understand. It definitely wasn't a B-Cares decision. I heard different comments from different people. One comment that I recall was that they'd outfitted a lot of the CU police with body cams, and that was no longer needed. All we did with B-Cares is we filmed outside of the stadium, and we followed police officers who have arrested somebody, and we followed them over and provided a chain of evidence to the portable station during the CU football games, and that's really all we did.
Yeah, earlier years it was more important before they got their big network of closed circuit TV cameras in.
Okay, that was before my time.
So you guys were there adding support, so you had video of the actual events and things like that. That's cool. Kind of like an
Jim,
episode of Cops.
Yeah, Don had a question.
Go ahead, Don.
Yeah, Jim, you mentioned that something about drones and whether or not you should use one type of amateur TV over another. And I forget what you said about that.
Okay, well, they discourage trying to fly a drone using video anyway. And my point is, flying a drone, if you're actually trying to rely upon the TV image to pilot that drone, there's enough time delay in the digital system that you may encounter something you need to avoid, and you've probably hit it before you've reacted.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Okay, and along the line of drones, I mentioned we had some stuff at 5.9 gigahertz. We are actually, there's actually, because of the drone market, there is really inexpensive video gear available. You can buy this is an analog FM television transmitter and receiver from Amazon for $30.
Wow.
Huh.
It's a 600 milliwatt transmitter and a receiver. And well, let's see, maybe I can point this. Okay, if you look in the upper right corner of my picture, there is a dish antenna sitting there. It might be a little hard to see. That dish antenna cost me about $70, and I've got this $15 receiver on that. And right now I'm watching a pic, and if you can see kind of in the middle of my picture, there's some image on a little tiny video monitor. I'm actually looking at the microwave signal coming from in-car with our TV repeater. We run that one 24/7 as a beacon for anybody who wants to experiment with microwaves. And that's the signal I've gotten all the way out well beyond north of Greeley with that same setup. And so, yeah, if you want to play with really inexpensive TV, yeah, for $30, you can buy an analog transmitter and receiver.
Cool.
And that's actually basically, we're using that $15 transmitter along with a 3-watt amplifier that we bought off of the internet for $20. And that's the heart of our transmitter up on in-car for 5.9 gigahertz.
Nice. Does anybody else have any other questions for Jim? Well, Jim, I want to thank you. I mean, great presentation. I do appreciate it. You know, as always, there you go. Check out his website. I've already been to it and everything else.
Yeah,
And,
it's simple. It's simple. It's just my call sign.
Yeah. And,
H6HTV.
And I appreciate it. I mean, like I said, this was great information. And I know it's another part of the hobby that some people may not even know exist. And other people thought maybe it was too expensive to get into, but it sounds like there's ways to work around some of that. So thank you again for the presentation. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Well, everybody, thank you very much. Appreciate everybody showing up, and have a great evening and week. And we will chat next month. As always, if you need to get a hold of me, everybody knows how to get a hold of me. So 73, have a great day. What's left of it.
See you guys.
Night. Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Chuck.
How are you doing this evening?
How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, it's Wednesday night.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. I can't even type my call sign tonight. There we go.
Good morning, all. Or evening.
Morning.
Hey, Steve.
Been a while.
Yeah, it has.
Yep.
How's everybody feeling?
Don't even go there. I'm dealing with major medical issues right now, and some of them are going to be life-changing. So I really don't want to think about my health right now. Other than that, I'm doing okay.
Understand, David.
Yeah. How's everybody else doing?
I'm hanging in there.
Yep.
Just trying to make things happen.
I hear you. I hear you. Hey, Chuck, has your company instituted any vaccination protocols in terms of requiring vaccinations in order to continue employment?
Yep. Because they have government contracts.
Yeah, same with us. Because we have government contracts, we have there's a deadline by which time if you don't have at least the first dose of the vaccine and upload the proof of it, they'll terminate your employment.
Yeah, I have to read the paperwork again on that one. I'm not sure what they're doing there. Of course, they'll probably make exceptions for certain things, but we'll see what happens. Being a contractor there, for me, it doesn't really affect me a whole lot, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I am a government contractor, and of course, we fall under the executive order that President Biden signed. So we do have to upload our vaccination proof, and we're subject to being kicked off our contract as well as losing our jobs.
Yeah, I heard that from me yet, but I've already been vaccinated, so I'm not too worried about it.
Yeah,
But we'll see what
I'm not
happens.
either. I'm not either. I've been fully vaccinated since April, so I'm not worried about it.
We'll see what happens. Just,
Yep.
I don't know. World's
Yep.
going to hell.
Yeah, in a handbasket.
Yeah. I just feel sorry for my kids and my grandkids if I ever have any. So
Yep.
I'm up here. See me up here? See?
I'm just trying to see them.
Granddaughter.
oh. Still got the grandkids around, huh?
Let me get up.
Yeah, daughter and granddaughter still living at the house.
Oh, okay.
I can't put you up on my lap, remember? Oh,
Well, hopefully this will be a great presentation this evening, and hopefully we'll get enough people to get voting done. So at least
Yep.
that's the plan.
I almost forgot about the meeting tonight.
Well, thank you for everybody who comes on. Thank you for participating, especially if you're a paid member, because we want to make sure we get the bylaws passed and get your executive board for the next year, which
Yeah.
I haven't heard anybody that wants to run for other positions and everybody else is running for the same position. So, but you know, if you want to run, we have no qualms with that. Just
Yeah.
what's our number so far, Chuck?
well, right now I'm looking at 12 people or 9 people, but
Wow.
I think we need 32 for quorum.
32.
32. I didn't look at the last number, so
Yeah, you have 1,559.
something like that.
Yeah.
I gotta look at the numbers again because I know Steve sent them out earlier.
161, I forget now.
Yeah, we've had some new numbers, some that actually paid, some that didn't for the month, things like that. So the numbers tend to fluctuate each month, but we average between about 160 on average. And the last report that I see here, oops, let's see here, is bringing it up. This was from today. Is looks like 163 people.
Wow.
Now, again, some of those are family members, so they don't get a vote. Things like that. So that's got to, we'll play a little bit into it. So hopefully we'll get enough. I know they've been advertising it on Thursday night. We've been putting it on the website. We've been bringing it up. It was in the splatter. I know Kat sent it out with the splatter. So, I have been marketing the heck out of this meeting. And like I said, I've asked people, even if, just first 15 minutes of the meeting, please, I just want to get this, this done. So.
Hey, by the way, in regard to the new website, look, it looks good.
Thank you.
Great job, Chuck.
Yeah, it's a big improvement.
Well, it's a little bit more modernized, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks real nice.
Well, thank you. A lot of work went into that because Mike and I sat there one day and said, and we talked to Larry too, because Larry was kind of the webmaster for the other one, and said, Larry, you wouldn't be offended if we changed the website. He's like, no. And WordPress is a lot easier to work with than Drupal. It doesn't take as much programming skills, things like that. We've got multiple people that are now running the website, so things are going to get up there a lot sooner. All of you who are paid members have the access to actually create a post. We'll review it and then we can put it up there as well. Right now we're in discussion, since we're not having a Christmas party. The decision was made, we're not having a Christmas party this year because of the numbers fluctuating and things like that, and the place raising prices and other things. We're probably gonna do an online Christmas thing like we did last year, but I think I'm gonna do like a little web presentation and kind of go over some things maybe and answer questions about the website and You know, how you can help as a club member, things like that. So look forward to hopefully we can pull that off on for December, and that way we'll give a little training session in the process, because I think you know, it is a little bit of a learning curve. I've already had some people pick out some issues, which is great. This is what I want to see. You know, this is not my website. This is not Jerry's website. This is the club's website, and we're just here to help support it and support the club the best we can.
Hello, everyone.
Good evening.
Where's my video?
I don't know, Pat. Where's your video? We don't see you.
It's in my computer.
There we go. We don't see that smiling Wyoming face.
Yeah, that's about right. You don't have any video in Wyoming. It doesn't exist.
It does exist.
Oh, it does? Okay.
We'll call it a state.
Oh, a state? Oh, I get to be called a state? Wow.
Yeah. Of course, they want District of Columbia to be called a state too, but well, you know, we'll see how that goes.
Or Puerto Rico.
Or Puerto Rico. Or there's parts of California want to be their own state. Yeah, you know.
Hey, I got a couple of trivia for you guys, everyone.
Go for it.
The first woman governor in the United States, where was that?
First one we go. Was that Texas?
That's what I was gonna say.
Wyoming.
It was
it
Wyoming.
Really? Okay.
So what was the first state, and what, that was about 1920. So what was the first state to give women the authorization to vote, and what year was it?
The state of Virginia Slims.
The state is Wyoming.
I'm gonna guess you
Really?
know. I was thinking
And the
Utah.
year was
1945.
1870.
Really? They were
So,
very above the curve then, weren't they?
Oh my God, yes. I got to keep going here. CFD,
Right.
Iron
So-
Frontier Days. Good.
So we figured every answer is gonna have Wyoming in it. We figured that part out already.
There's a trend.
So, you know, hardly anybody knows about that.
What's that?
Well, all the things Wyoming has done.
Oh,
How about the first national park?
Wyoming.
Which was it?
would that have been the Grand Teton?
Yellowstone.
That was Yellowstone.
Yellowstone? Of course, Yellowstone encompasses multiple states though, too.
So how about the first national monument?
Devil's Tower,
Where is that?
Wyoming, of course.
Oh, Wyoming. How about that?
Yep. I remember that from Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
No, we're not, you know, we're not that far backward. We've been out in front of most things.
Yeah.
Actually, it's a good place to be.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Well, at least it's a good place to visit.
Yeah.
And every place has its things you would prefer not.
Right. At least it's quiet up there, except for the wind blowing.
Well, it's quiet at our house because we're way out in the country.
Yeah.
There's lots of property still up there available, so.
You know, it's, the price has gone up a lot.
Well, yeah.
Like everybody.
I don't know. My wife's cousin Cindy is the head chef of a restaurant up there, and she's kind of hinted that we should come up there and move up to Cheyenne. But
What's the restaurant?
Mountain. It's a little cafe off of Fifth Avenue, I believe, or Fifth Street there in Cheyenne off of 85. I can't remember. I think it's Mountain Cafe. I can't remember the name of it.
I don't think we've ever been there. I got to put that on the list.
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to pull it up here and find out. Try to remember the name of it.
Yeah,
It's
that'd be great.
it's a little hole in the wall type of cafe. They're only open usually for breakfast and lunch. But we went up there. The last time we were up there, the food is really good. The last time we were up there, we actually ate lunch there. When we met up with my wife's cousin, and the food is actually pretty good.
Well, if you figure it out, we'll go.
Yep. Okay.
There, there are actually lots of good restaurants in Cheyenne. There are way more restaurants in Cheyenne than there are in Longmont.
That's true.
Are they mostly all downtown, Pat?
No, they're all over the place.
Ah.
In town, out in the country. One of them's called the Bunkhouse. You can imagine what that is.
Okay.
20 miles away. It's pretty,
Okay.
it's pretty Western. But it's great.
Yeah, you gotta watch what you step in.
Sometimes, yeah.
Oh, it's probably organic.
When you go to Frontier Days. So who is CRBAUE?
VR. That's me. It's Craig. I just
Yeah, if you could put your name and call sign, we would appreciate it. That makes it easier for.
Yeah, I'm a little new to Zoom and all that. So, but yeah.
No, not a problem. In the upper right hand corner of your name,
Yep.
you should see a drop, 3 dots. Just click on it, and there's an option to rename.
Oh, there we go. Okay, gotcha.
So if everybody could do that, we appreciate it.
Yeah, that'd be
Makes
great.
it easier. Makes it easier for Pat and Steve, because they're the ones that's got to go through everything and make sure we have enough club members for tonight's vote as well. Good
There you
evening,
go.
Jim.
There we go.
I have to watch change my name. I got onto the homeowners association and there it was, KE0VT. And I had it off in about half a second.
I think I actually did that with a work-related Zoom I was on a while back. Still using my personal laptop for work stuff, and I had an all-hands meeting with a corporate vice president, one of my other direct managers, and some coworkers. And when I logged into it, of course, it had my call sign there. Thankfully, they didn't really ask much about it.
Well, they used to do that, but they blocked that at our place. So
Perhaps Benjamin Drake could put your call sign on.
Yeah. Well,
I don't have one yet.
Oh,
new
are you a
member.
member?
Yes, indeed.
Good.
Oh, welcome. Is this your first
Thank you.
meeting, Benjamin?
It sure is.
Well,
Thank you.
welcome to the club.
Welcome.
We are glad to have you here.
Much appreciated. I live in Firestone and love technology. And this is my first foray into amateur radio. And I saw the club webpage, so joined up. So thank you for the link and excited to get to meet some folks.
So, have you taken your test or anything? You're just waiting for a call sign, or?
I have not. I just finished the technician guidebook, essentially, from ARRL. So I'm ready to take my exam. Looking forward to that.
You can take a Saturday? There's a test on Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, cool. Sign up through the webpage, or what's the best way to do that?
Actually, that one is an ARL test, so it's $15.
Okay.
If you want to drop me an email, I will send you Aaron's contact information. He's the one who runs it. And it's K0ITP at W0ENO.org. I'm also the club
Could you give me that
president.
one more time?
It's Kilo 0 India Tango Papa at Whiskey 0 Echo November Oscar.org.
And go online in advance.
Got it.
And get an FRN number.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
With the
Yeah, make sure-
FCC, you have to have that to take the test.
Yeah, it's
I'm not familiar with that.
Yeah, just go to
Yeah.
FCC's website and type in FRN number and it'll walk you through it. It's all free.
Okay.
It's like a, I don't know, 12, 13 digit number. I forget what it is these days.
Nothing in there for you.
And then you can print it out and
Got
take it
it.
with you.
By the way, the FCC is now requiring email addresses to be listed in
Yep.
on all license applications.
I did
Yep.
see that. Thank you.
That's a new one.
Fantastic.
And you're getting in just in time because they're going to start charging next year. So
Yep.
Well, thank you, Chuck. Much appreciated.
And then when you get licensed, you can join the Hamlet Net on Tuesday nights. And I'm also in Firestone. So.
Oh, fantastic. I'm in Booth Farms here, so kind of next
Okay.
to the King Supers.
Yeah, I'm over in Oak Meadows.
Very nice.
So I'm right next to King Supers here. I'm about 4 blocks from where the house exploded a couple years ago. I think it's been 4 years ago now.
Yes.
All right, we got more people joining. This is great. This is what I want to see.
Hey,
How about,
Brian.
John Kosky, can you put?
Hello.
Okay, what the hell's
How
going
many more do we have here?
I'm counting 25 right now.
I'm way behind. It says 28, so I'm way behind.
Oh, 28. Okay. Well, I'm only
Oh,
counting.
yeah, you're about 28 here.
Am I missing somebody? Oh yeah, 28. Okay. I'm missing people. Mine hasn't refreshed yet. There's still people connecting too. So we're getting there. So Jim, just so you know, thank you for joining this evening, Mr. Andrews. KH6HTV, he's our presenter this evening. We were supposed to have elections last month, but didn't have a quorum. So we're gonna be doing that first thing today, as soon as I get enough people. So just so you know, we're gonna try to get that out of the way because that's something we've been trying to do. And advertising it like crazy to get enough people on. So and also we have some bylaws we got to get passed, which will make it easier for next year, where people could actually vote by email for our new bylaws or updated bylaws. So. And I want to.
Hey, Pat, I did some digging, and the name of that restaurant I was mentioning is actually called the Diamond Horseshoe Cafe on 404 Central Avenue.
The Diamond Horseshoe, how about that? Yeah.
Yeah.
You've seen it.
Yep. It's got a hole in the wall there. You know, if you blink, you'll miss it if you're going up Central Avenue. But the food is really good, and the people are really friendly. So.
Diamond Horseshoe. Okay, we'll go. We haven't been there yet.
Yep.
Been to a lot of places, but not that one.
Yep.
There's a Filipino restaurant, the Nipa Hut on Central Avenue. It's really good.
Yeah, we've seen that. We haven't been there either. How about
The owners run it. It's really good.
Yeah.
All right, I count 32 now, so we're getting there. I think we'll hit our numbers this time.
I got Don Lewis.
I saw Don join, Steve. I got some board members on. And you know, everybody should have got a copy of the bylaws. There were some changes made, and I want to thank Dick and Brian, KE0VT and AF0W and Pat, who did most of that work. W1PGE did most of the work on revamping the bylaws and making them sound more legit and correcting some errors that we've had in our bylaws to make things easier for the club. So they did a lot of work on that. And Steve, K0SCE, also did some work, did work on that as well. So I want to thank them here. So we'll shout out to them.
Well, Steve and Dick did most of the work. I just added my 2 cents.
And we're looking at your chest, Pat. I don't know if you knew your camera dropped down or not.
Yeah, well, I'm trying to see everything.
Oh, okay.
I'm here.
Of course, Steve, K0AGY would be hoping you'd be wearing one of his shirts, you know, that way show it off if you're going to point your camera down there.
Got some work I got to do.
Yep.
So Chuck, you said you're gonna have the vote like the very beginning?
Yes.
My wife just re-broke her collarbone today, so I need to help her out. So.
No, understood. That's why I kept advertising and saying, give me 10, 15 minutes of your time, please, so we can get this vote done, you know, to make the quorum so we can get this done really quick. And then if you have to drop, that's fine. If you want to, you know, if you want to stay or whatever.
It's the LARC meeting tonight.
You're more than welcome.
Okay, so I'm gonna step away.
Consider joining us.
Yeah, so like I said, if you just hang out till that, I would appreciate it.
Yep. Okay.
Thanks, Don. All right, we got about, oh wow, we got this many people. We still have 15 minutes. This is nice.
Yep.
That's what I'd like to see.
I don't have
Again.
everybody.
I'm counting 33 right now.
Yeah. Jason, I gotta get Jason.
Good. Larry's joining us this evening. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. Chuck, let's see. Ed, I didn't say hi to. I talk to Ed every Tuesday night because he joins the Hamlet Net. So even though he's he's one of our Elmer new ham, so lots of experience he likes to share with us, and we appreciate that. Ted, see what else I have here that I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing a lot of people for some reason. This thing. And if I don't call your name out, I do apologize because this thing is not showing me everything. I'm just doing this on a laptop, so I don't see everybody.
Who we got? We got Larry McGimsey.
Yeah, I know. I said welcome, Larry. Yeah, he.
It's the A080 ATT or something.
AD0TT.
80TT.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Long time no listen.
Yep.
You want to make sure you get voted in again as secretary, Pat. That's why Larry's here.
That's right.
Hey, Larry, you in? I'm still missing one. Who is that?
I'm not sure.
You want to go down your list, Pat, and everybody can say yay or nay?
Some people are on mute.
Oh.
Let's see.
Or check with Steve. I don't know if he's taking role as well. He sometimes does that.
He's there somewhere.
Yep, I'm checking also.
Okay. What do you got? How many members you got?
Right now I've got 21, but I've still got part of a list to go through.
Yeah, no, we got at least, I think we got at least 32 members. Let's see, who else?
Just a reminder to everybody that Don Lewis hosts Saturday breakfast, 8 o'clock at the Hidden Cafe in Longmont. And join us. We've been having 7 to 10 guys and some lively conversations and a lot of fun. So we'll hope you guys will start coming out and joining us. And we may end up having to move to a bigger cafe if we get a lot, but that'll be great anyway. And then starting probably in January, I'm going to do it during the week. I'm going to give it another trial, probably something on the order of twice a month. Maybe a little bit later, like 8:30 or so breakfast. And if we get enough participants, we'll keep it going. And if we just don't get any interest, I think 3-month trial. At the end of that, if we're just not getting anyone, then we'll call it quits.
Thank you, Dick. Yeah, because you were up to what, 3 or 4 people at one point, right? Steady?
No, 2.
2? Okay.
Besides,
So we actually have 33 people because Bryan G is logged in twice.
How do you log into Zoom twice?
Cat may be using his name. Yeah. But they only get one vote, so.
You know, they still count as one. So we're at 33, and our speaker, I doubt if is a member. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't think Jim, you're not a member of the club, are you? Because you're a member of BARC, right? Yeah, okay. Yeah, Jim's a member of BARC.
More.
He cares.
Yeah, BARC.
BARC.
I think we need one more.
Well, we still got 10 minutes, so we're good. I think we'll make it.
As soon as we hit the number, you know what to do.
Yeah.
Air horn you could use?
Yeah, I wish.
All right, everybody say aye.
Aye.
We're not there. We're not there yet.
Yeah. I got one person that doesn't have audio, so he's either going to raise his hand or put it in the chat. Just need to put it to everybody. If you don't have audio, when we do voting, just put it in the chat as yay or nay or whatever.
Yeah, just say it and we'll, because most people will vote yay, that's fine. All we need is a quorum.
Yeah.
Oh, 35. Who joined us?
And you need 17 votes in favor and you're good.
Yep, that's correct.
There we go.
There we go.
And again, I want to thank everybody for participating this evening. Again, if you cannot stay on for the presentation, I do totally understand. I do appreciate you joining us for at least we get the voting of the bylaws and your executive board out of the way, so we get another year of supporting the club. And hopefully, again, as I've mentioned, if you'd like to throw your name in the hat, please let us know for a particular position. If not, the same board members you currently have has offered to support your club for another year.
Everybody can also join Shyway up here in Cheyenne if you want. You can help out for the Rocky Mountain Division HAM Conference next October 7th, 8th, and 9th in 2022.
Is that gonna, Pat, is that gonna be up in Cheyenne?
It will be in Cheyenne, that's correct.
Okay.
It's Wyoming's turn, and the Shyway Club in Cheyenne stepped up. How about that?
Cool.
And naturally, I'm on the committee. How did I, why? What the hell's wrong
Well,
with me?
I've given you a bunch of information to help you out, Pat. So, and
Yeah, you have. Thank you very much.
I'll try to get up there and participate during the actual event next year. So, 'cause I had planned on going on this year when you guys were going to host it. So, spend a day up there.
If we get enough early registrations, we think we can get some manufacturers up here.
Cool.
That'd be great. Our goal is 500 participants. How's that?
Oh, that works.
Wow.
I think as
That's
a
our
club,
goal.
and we'll bring this up at the next board meeting, but I think I think if anything, I might just get a table in LARC's name if we have to participate as well, because we're not that far. People drive from all over, things like that. So
It's early October. The weather should be good.
yeah.
Friday night's gonna be a meet and greets Saturday all day, and then a banquet Saturday evening, and then Sunday morning a farewell breakfast.
You guys have cheap hotel rates at places or reasonable hotel rates?
Yeah, so visit Cheyenne. Get this, Chuck. Visit Cheyenne, which is essentially the Chamber of Commerce. They're going to do all registration. They're going to deal with hotels to get stuff. They're going to talk to local businesses. It's great. They do all that for us.
Oh, you can't beat that.
Yep.
That's what you get in Wyoming. People do stuff.
I think we need to get Dick to start doing that for our Ham Fest too. See if we can get the chamber involved for Longmont.
Yep.
Or Boulder County or somebody.
Yeah.
Which we are still planning. So everybody knows we're still planning April. But again, it's all going to be based on the CDC in Boulder County. But I know Dick is still planning it. And if you'd like to participate, please contact him, K0ITP, and he'll be more than happy to, put you to work.
That's a good event too. We'll all help out.
Hey, Pat.
Yeah.
Can you chat with George and see if you guys could get Echolink?
Yeah. Good old George. Eh? Yeah. Actually, Echolink would be great because we're going to spend 3 months in Arizona, and I won't be able to participate up here.
See,
I can
that's
still
what
participate with LARC.
You still can with us.
Yep, I plan to.
That's one of the biggest reasons I kind of pushed for Echolink. I know we had a previous board member, still a club member, that was kind of against it at one point. I wasn't really against it, but just didn't really want to put it in place, and finally managed to do it. And it's been used. We have people on Echolink on the Hamlet Net. We have one gentleman who's up in Lyons who travels to Alaska, who joins us on Echolink on Tuesday nights for the Hamlet Net on occasions, when he's got decent internet connectivity up there. So, I mean, we're also, that's the other thing I was going to bring up, and I'll bring it up really quick. We're doing Santa on the Air again this year. I don't know how many people saw that last year. It will be, in fact, I got to start planning that. Well, I've got it planned. I got to start publicizing it. It's going to be the last week in November, after Thanksgiving, and John Chelson out of Longmont is my Santa Claus. He actually does Santa for a living. He's retired, but he does Santa, and that's pretty much his gig for the entire year. Lives in Longmont, trying to get him to get his license, but he's not got it yet. So we found a way to work around the getting him on the air because we just have a Brian's going to smack me if I can't come up with the proper term, control operator available. And he does a really good Santa Claus with the kids. And we had 30, I think we had 32 kids last year over 5 days participate as far away as Canada and Ohio from out of state. And then locally, even Pat's daughter got on there and she knows Santa Claus personally because he's done some events with her. And they had a good conversation. So it was a lot of fun. So keep that in mind if you have grandchildren, children that want to get on the air, adults who like to just get on the air and talk to Santa Claus. We'll be doing that, and I'll be advertising it more here in the next couple of weeks to get on the air with Santa. Last year, I went above and beyond. People really appreciated it. I also sent out QSO cards from Santa Claus. So I've got them specially made. And I put the date and time that they talk to Santa, of course, in Zulu. And I actually take all the cards, I get them all set up, I get addresses off of QRZ, and I package them up and I ship them up to North Pole, Alaska. And then they actually get stamped from North Pole, Alaska, so they're coming from the North Pole. And a lot of the parents wrote me back and said the kids just totally enjoyed the hell out of that.
That's really cool.
And for a kid to get a QSO card, get them involved in the hobby, and it's from Santa Claus. It just made my year. And so I decided I'm going to do it again this year. So if you like to participate in a net type scenario and you want to play an elf, you're more than welcome to participate with that as well. So in fact, I don't know if I have a copy of them here or not with me. Let's see.
There's a town called Santa Claus, Georgia.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's still a town, but it was.
Well, I know North Pole, Alaska actually was hiring police officers at one point because I was looking on their website. But let me see if I can show this online here.
So Chuck, Steve and I agree we have a quorum right now.
Right now. Okay. And I've got 3 minutes till. So do we want to just wait the other 3 minutes or?
Yeah, just
Okay.
wait the 3 minutes, but exactly at 7 o'clock.
You got it. I will definitely do so. So I actually have a call sign reserved, a 1x1. It's called N0P. So I don't know how many people can see that, but that's the QSO card that I send out. And then it's also got the information on the back with the month, date, year. I made these generic so I can use them year after year. And the Santa Claus on there is actually the Santa Claus who does on the Air Force here out of Longmont. So something else that our club does for the community to bring up spirits and things like that. So there's a lot of things in the background that your club does that I try to advertise and get help on. If I can, that's great. If not, we're still going to do it anyways. And I know, like I said, we've had lots of kids that just totally enjoyed the heck out of it last year. From, I think the youngest, correct me, Elf AF0W, Brian. Brian played an elf with me last year as well. I think the youngest we had was like 3 or 4. And the oldest was probably, I don't know, how old's your daughter there, Pat? She was probably the oldest one.
She would probably rather me not say, but.
Well, more experienced adults participated as well. How about that?
She was born when I was 26, so figure it out.
Okay, gotcha.
Hey, Chuck.
Yes, sir.
I don't know how many cards you get there, but if you need help paying for the postage, I'll help you out with that.
Don't worry about it. Club takes care of it.
Oh, okay.
Either I take care of it, or the club takes care of it. Not a big deal. And I had 200 of the cards made up, and all of the board members got one. One of the benefits of being on the board, I want to make sure the board members got taken care of. But like I said, if you want to get on for yourself or grandkids, keep an eye out for it. It's going to be, I don't have the dates in front of me. It's the last week of November, and I believe that's Sunday, the 3rd of December. And it's going to be at night for like an hour. We're going to use our repeaters, Echolink. If my goal is if I can get 50 kids this year, I've already in talks with Northern Colorado and Doug Sharp for next year, potentially hooking up with RMHAM and possibly getting the whole state of Colorado involved, or possibly hooking up with Colorado Connections, as long as there's not a net going on, and getting more repeaters involved and things like that. So, I mean, we can make this a really large event. Last year, we also had an article in the paper about it. I had one of the local paper, the Times Call came out and did an article and a picture. It ended up in one of the Denver papers. It actually also ended up on what's the news, the ham radio news line.